forget to mute everyone. Hi, everyone. Welcome, welcome, welcome. All right. So hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us tonight. It's Friday. It's our back to school virtual town hall. You could have been any place else, but you are spending it with us, and we are so appreciative. Couple of ground rules. There really are no rules. The only rules we ask of you is to just mute your microphone. If you have a question, tons of time, opportunity for you to do that. This is going to be very interactive. So I am Karen Taylor Bass, and I'm the president of Taylor Made Media. I am the mother of two to Sebastian and Sophia. I'm a certified yoga and meditation coach. I am passionate about my community. I love being a Black woman and everything that represents. And tonight we are going to level the playing field. So we are going to talk virtually how to re-enter into school, but how to do it loving, kind, safe. How do we access opportunities that are there for us, and that if they're not there, how do we make sure that we scour and have them? I have assembled an amazing panelists that will share their expertise. They want to hear from you. They want you to talk with them. We are all here as Black, Indigenous people of color, so we learn by being with one another and sharing. So this is a platform to share. And then after we're done sharing, there's going to be a little bit of a mini meditation and yoga, very small, but part of us being healthy and whole is exhaling, right? So I want to offer that platform also for us. Let me just start by asking you just to be present tense in your body right now. If it's loving and kind, if you could just sit upright and close your eyes if you feel you're in a safe space. I hope so that you are. And just stay still, be in your body right now, present tense. And just take a nice inhale here through your nose. Hold it. And exhale through your nose. Now inhale again through your nose. And exhale through your mouth with an audible ah. Drop your chin to chest. And just feel that stress that you carry in your neck and shoulder just begin to release right here. Inhale, up, your head up. Take your chin and go straight to the ceiling and close your eyes. Come back, straight ahead. Drop your left ear to your left shoulder and feel the right side. Get a nice little stretch. Inhale up, drop your right ear to your right shoulder and feel the left side. Get a nice stretch. Inhale, come back straight ahead. Inhale your arms up and just drop them right here to your sides. Nod your head yes, shake your head no. Close your eyes as I read you something to set the tone for today. Don't compare your life to others. There is no comparison. Between the sun and the moon, there are no comparison. They both shine bright when it's their time. And Black people and people of color, it's our time. Let's get the party started. Welcome to the virtual back to school town hall. Thank you for joining us. So I want to invite my panelists, my partners, to go around and introduce themselves. It'll be very brief, and you will meet each and every one of them and be as excited as I am about the information they will share. They're just going to do a brief intro right here. So I'm going to toss this to Jonathan Dill. Jonathan, welcome. Let me just give you a nice little spotlight and go for it.
Great evening, everyone. Karen, that was such a beautiful opening. My name is J. Jonathan Dill. I'm a parent of two boys, Brandon and Brian. I'm an educational advocate and recently retired principal. It's so great to be here, and I'm so happy to be in the space to share my knowledge and also have an interchange of knowledge with everyone.
Thank you, Jonathan. We sound so scripted. And thank you, Jonathan. And with that, I'm going to move to Denise. Denise, you are up. let me spotlight you. Just the intro. We can't hear you. Mike.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Denise Lowe, and I'm a mother of two sons, two college graduates, and I'm a retired school superintendent, and currently I'm the state monitor for East Ramapo School District in New York.
Thank you, Denise. And we're going to go to Christine English. Christine, let me find you. And if you pop up, that'd be awesome too. Hello. And my daughter said, mute you when.
Hi, my name is Christine English Marshall, and I'm the mother of two daughters. My older daughter is down at college, and she's a registered nurse, and my younger daughter is a freshman in college. And I teach English as a second language in Brooklyn, and I've been doing that for the last 25 years. I'm really passionate about what I do, and I'm especially passionate about helping parents figure out the school system and knowing that we cannot have our kids be successful in school without parental involvement. I'm very excited to be a part of this conversation this evening. Thank you, Karen.
Thank you, Christine. I'm going to go to Dr. Fatima and her husband, Hakeem. Give me 1 second to spotlight you.
Greetings, everyone, in peace. My name is Hakeem Jenkins.
And I'm Dr. Fatima Dewan.
And I'm a software developer. I've been doing that for about 15 years, a very dedicated father, and I'm the son of a retired teacher and excellent engineer, a foreman for the local 128.
I'm a physical therapist. I've been practicing for over 13 years, and we have 3 beautiful boys ranging from 2, 7, and 11. So we're just excited to share our homeschooling decision with you all.
Thank you so much. And we are going to go now to Lewis Cook.
Yes. Hi, everyone. I'm Lewis Cook. I'm a licensed clinical social worker. I've been offering psychotherapeutic services privately as well as in the public forum for over 30 years here in Long Island or in the metropolitan region. I am the father of 3, the proud father of 3. I am the son of a former college president, and I'm happy to be here. Thanks for inviting me, Karen.
Absolutely. Okay, so we are going to go to Sonia now. All right, Sonia.
Hi, my name is Sonia Agnet. I am a licensed occupational therapist in New York State, and I work with school-age children in the city and on Long Island. I've been doing it for over 17 years, and I would like to share my experience and my knowledge as far as helping parents navigate related services.
Thank you, Sonia. And we're going to throw the ball now to Cherise.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Cherise Thomas. I am a New York State certified public school educator. I have worked in elementary school, and I'm currently a middle school educator. I focus mainly in special education, and I just look forward to this conversation with my colleagues and with parents and those that are on the call tonight. Thank you, Karen, for this opportunity.
Absolutely. Thank you. We're going to throw it now to Marsha. Marsha.
Okay, I'm here. Greetings, everyone. I'm Marsha Page. I'm a professional makeup artist in television and film. I am the melanin expert. I am an inspirational speaker. I've been a makeup artist for over 20 years. I'm so happy that Karen has gathered us here today to meet and connect, and I'm very much looking forward to speaking with all of you, especially the children. I have a heart for children, and I look forward to sharing with your children and you as well.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. All right. So this is a conversation, right? And this is about us. For me, the words that always stick out are access, equity, education, and exhale. Because those are the things that we as a community oftentimes are struggling to breathe, struggling to understand how to navigate this form, how to get this school district, all of that, the teachers. And so we want your questions. We want you to go in the chat, ask questions. There are no questions that are off the table. We have resources, we want to share them. So with that being said, let's flip it a little bit and let's just talk about, I'm gonna start with Jonathan. Now, Jonathan, you wanna talk about how during the pandemic that children have thrived and some of the tools that you can assist parents and students with and how to thrive going forward, correct? So wait a minute so we can hear you. All right, so you go unmute yourself and talk about during the pandemic or now, what can we do? What are some of the real hard set tools that we need to thrive?
Thank you, Karen. Great evening once again, everybody. I think about basically what does Chance the Rapper, Tiger Woods, Chadwick Boseman all have in common? They all grew up with the advantage of having the competitive edge. Having the competitive edge simply means having a different talent or skill that gives you the advantage or the upper hand over others. Chadwick, for instance, he was gifted and talented in writing. And when he wrote his first play in high school, he said this. He mentioned that he speaks to the fact that you have the same dream as other people. You are equal, if not even more talented at times, but you don't have the same opportunities. Chadwick and others knew at an early age that having that competitive edge gives persons an opportunity, an open door, and even a boost of confidence for success. But you know, the sad reality is that only 10% of our Black boys in the US are proficient in reading. And in the urban areas like Brooklyn, New York, where I worked for 20 years as an educator, that number is even lower. By contrast, one recent study found that 46% of white students are adequate readers by the 8th grade. Pandemic, right? You know, the real pandemic is our youth. No doubt we are living in a crisis. We know that. Our schools will not be the same, and frankly, they won't even have the same expectations. So that begs the question, what can we do to give our children the competitive edge? What is that one thing, that one talent, that one skill that will provide the open door of opportunity, that will provide the upper hand, that will provide the advantage? And as an extension, how can we garner a more focused child, someone who is more driven, and someone who has a sustained individual? So our STEAM panel is going to give us some resources today, but I'm going to provide you with 3. 1, I would like you to tap in to discover. That simply means, what do your child like? You can start with a simple conversation. Talking to our children frequently about things that they're focused on. It helps us to teach them, to reason with them, even to coach them. We can create scenarios that provide viewpoints and critical reasoning. For example, our young children, our boys love playing video games, right? Like Fortnite. You can use it as an opportunity for us to ask them, what is your strategy? What is your plan to win the game? As an extension branches off, perhaps you can have a conversation about gaming systems, developing their curiosity. I remember when I was young, I used to like to take cars apart and put them back together to see how it works, critical reasoning. Number 2, explore and create. During this pandemic, this is an opportunity to learn new skills. What about math and practical application? I remember when I had a class, and I used to take my class on a trip, if I wanted to teach them about fractions, take them to the pizza restaurant And instead of ordering the pizza, ordering the ingredients and making them. That's a way to have a conversation, to explore, to create. And as an extension to them, you're learning about recipes, compare and contrast, they can explore. And the third thing is to groom them and launch them. Harness, you want to capture the children's business acumen, their athleticism, their literacy skills. You want to showcase and you want to celebrate their talents and accomplishments. So for example, perhaps having a Zoom party, a watch party with family members. But most of all, you want to be safe, you want to have fun, and you want to come out better in this pandemic in spite of it all. Thank you.
Thank you, Jonathan. So, you know, the thing about you were saying the other day to us that during the pandemic that, you know, some people thrive, there's a competitive edge. But going back now into school, I know Dr. Denise Lowe, you're the contrarian to this. You're saying, and I know some parents are thinking this, they're not sending their kids back to school. We'll meet Dr. Fatima and Hakeem and Jeffries, and they're talking about, we're gonna homeschool. But you're saying, listen, let's just scrap this whole thing and start all over. Like, I don't wanna send, that's not sending kids back to school. So you're coming from a different perspective on what reentry looks like. Talk to us about why you think that parents should not send their children back to school in the actual classrooms that they know. And just unmute yourself, please.
Yes, so first of all, I'm not speaking as a New York State monitor. I'm speaking as a retired educator and an educational consultant who's visited over 1,200 classrooms throughout the country in the last 5 years since I've been retired. So I frame this to say, the reason I don't, because it's not a safe situation for anyone, for students, for staff, for drivers, bus drivers, all the school partners that participate. And so I think we should just, you know, who would have thought in March, 90% of the schools in the country would be closed and we would be home. So my position is I don't think we should. We are seeing already with things happening when schools are reopening, colleges are reopening. So that's the reason I think we should just leave it out. We did it quickly, but when you know better, you do better. And I think this is an opportunity for us as educators and parents to start rethinking, reshaping, and reimagining school. And the reason I think this is because we will never have this opportunity again, never. And so Mr. Dill talked about the fact that some kids thrive during the digital environment. They did. We're the digital immigrants, people my age. They're the digital natives. Families got closer during this pandemic. Many of my schools that I consult with, families got together. You know, they talk more. My son was home with me, you know, for 3 months. We got closer. So schools were started back in the industrial age when the assembly factories and the building of America was important. We're still using the same structures from 60, 70 years ago that don't work. And the biggest issue with not reopening is equity. Equity abounds throughout our country. It's the haves and haves nots. If you have computers, great. If you don't, too bad. And so that's another issue, is that the equity issues with opening, closing, rebound. So it's a time to start thinking about how can we reshape schools? So I'll give you an example. Why do we need 180 days of school? As I visit classrooms across the board, some kids like school, some kids don't. Bullying. When I've talked with some of my schools now who are in their bullying problems stopped. Harassment, hazing, gang activity. Kids had different issues they had to deal with, but they didn't have to deal with that in school. And so my position is that let's think about what that would look like. Parents being home, kids going to school 2 or 3 days a week, developing project-based, interdisciplinary, connected, all standards work, real world connection, being able at some point when we open to be able to do internships at every level, experience real world connections, making sure the connection to work, life, career, and college readiness is really real. And so project-based learning is something that some schools do it, but others don't. So let's send kids off. They know how to research. They find everything on the internet. We do. So give them a project tied to real connections and have them come to school 2 or 3 days a week, collaborate with their peers. There's never going to be a replacement for a teacher, but that teacher is really the facilitator of knowledge. The bottom line is distance learning is here to stay. It's been around a long time. Through my research, there have been K-12 schools that have been thriving for over 30 years. I didn't even know that, but they've been doing really well. So that's why I think we need to take this opportunity to rethink, reshape, reimagine, and literally start all over. There are parents who are going back to equity, they have learning pods. They're doing it in their backyards, in their guest homes. They're providing opportunities for their kids with teachers who are home, parents that are home. And so there are ways that we can really take these opportunities. We'll never have this opportunity again to reshape, rethink, and totally imagine schooling when we reopen, when it's safe.
So you're saying have kids learn this year again, starting in September, which we are in now, with remote learning, correct?
Until it's safe. It's not safe for anyone.
Okay.
Anyone.
All right, so we'll get parents and children to chime in. Please ask your questions, post them in the chat. And so I am going to now spotlight Christine Marshall. And Christine, as you said before, your specialty is ESL, English as a Second Language. And as an immigrant who came here at 6, became naturalized at 17, I understand how important the culture is when you're talking about immersion. You know, I remember I always tell people coming from Jamaica, I remember asking someone about a suitcase, and in Jamaica we call it a grip. So I said, "Oh, that person has a nice grip," and I was 6 years old, and they started to laugh, and I was like, you know, grip. They were like, "That's called a suitcase." So once again, knowing the culture, knowing the dynamics, and if you're here and you're, you know, shell shocked, it's daunting to navigate, and that was back in 1973. 2020 is a whole different world. So talk to us about your tips for parents, the diaspora, about ESL, you know, in immersion.
Well, you are certainly right. A lot of parents, when they first arrive in the United States, they are intimidated by the system. It's bigger than where they're from. It's so many kids. A lot of them, I haven't seen a school that had 600, 700 kids. And so it's difficult to navigate that. But the one thing that they must do is they must get to the school. There's no way our kids are going to be successful if the parents are not involved in their lives. The teachers look for that, and you will see for yourselves that if a parent doesn't know what's going on in the school, then they're lost. They're lost. The kids are lost, right? So how are we going to achieve success, make these kids more successful? We have to have a 3-way collaboration between the students, the teachers, and the parents. We cannot have success without that dynamic being set. So if the school's not reaching out to the parent have the power, go to the school, go find out, make sure, keep the teacher on her toes, make sure you know what's going on in the classroom, right? You want to share your expectations that you have with your kids, but you also want to find out what the school's expectations are. What are their standards? What level should my child be reading at this grade? And a lot of kids come like you didn't come for kindergarten. That sounded like you started in the 2nd grade or 1st grade. So there are standards. What level should my child be reading at? Is my child reading on that level? Ask these questions. Make sure that your kids make sure your school have your updated contact information. So many times we want to reach out to parents, the phone numbers don't work, the emails bounce back to us when we send them out. So you want to make sure that everything, the contact information is up to date, right? And you want to also get the teacher's contact information. You want to find out, how can I reach the school? A lot of schools have a parent coordinator. Find the parent coordinator's number, go up to school and meet them. Now that we're in a blended learning situation, you might not be able to go up to school like you used to, but you certainly can send emails, make those phone calls, get involved in the school. An involved parent is a powerful parent. They know what's going on. You know the ins and the outs of the school. A lot of schools now too that we're in this blended learning are using these apps, Remind app, the Google Classroom, Class Dojo. Just make sure that you're connected to that so that you will be in the know. They will send you all the information that you need to know. You have to start helping your kids, not doing the work for them, but by helping them, guiding them so that they can discover the true school rhythm. School has a rhythm. You get up in the morning, there's a routine. So even if I'm not in a brick and mortar building, I still have to stick to my routine. I have to know when my teacher is going to have her live instructions versus when she's going to send some asynchronous work that I have to do on my own. But you got to get them up. They need to have a safe space that's quiet so that they can get to work if they have to work on an iPad or a computer all day versus if they're going to the classroom, because I know some of them aren't going to be in the classroom only 2 days a week. That's the schedule that a lot of schools are having, 2 days a week now. So you want to make sure you set them up for success so that they feel like, oh, even though I'm not in the building, I am still required to do this work because my parent says I have to get up at 8 o'clock, sign in, log in, find out what the messages my teacher is saying for the day. So you show the kids what your expectations are by making sure that they're ready for school.
Thank you, Christine. Thank you. And please start to put your questions in. So I'm going to, you've met them already, the husband and wife duo, power couple here, talking to us. So, you know, you're embarking on a brand new journey with everything, you know, your business, working remotely. Now you're
Ryan, go help her take this out.
We're going to ask everyone to please mute your microphone. So talk to us about why you decided to embark on homeschooling and some of the tips that you have to offer to our audience.
So thank you for having us here. I wanted to answer that question by starting off with a memory that I had. Growing up, I was blessed to have two parents that did an excellent job raising me. My mother, a retired teacher, my father, a hardworking engineer. I remember my father wearing a shirt growing up, and his shirt was entitled a quote that said, "One of the best things that you can spend on your children is time." And I remember going to school and coming home, even when the schools that I was going to were blessed to be good, my mother always did everything that she could to make sure that I had the competitive edge, as the brother mentioned previously. Coming home from school was almost like going to school all over again. And fast forwarding that to us as parents, as our children were doing the traditional school for the past years, I felt coming home as a software developer, going through that same process that my parents went through.
Hakeem, hold on one second. The microphone, we're getting a lot of static and we don't want to lose what you're saying. So just give me a sound check. Give me a sound check. And you're coming back in. I see you. Okay, let's start now. Fatima? Okay. Bear with me, everyone. We're just having a little glitch right here. So right. Fatima, if you could remove yourself so I don't lose the wrong link. Okay. I am going to go to the next person and come back to Fatima as we get everything. I see that she's here. We're going to come back to her, I promise. So we're talking about the mental health component. We're talking about so many different things for our children, right? And I know that Lewis Cook is going to talk to us about the importance of the mental health check-in. Just like us as adults are feeling this pandemic, feeling everything that's happening in the world, our children are feeling it more. So Lewis, talk to us about what we need to do.
Okay, so everyone knows that this pandemic has had an impact upon everybody, children and adults and extended family members. The things I'm going to talk about, I hope, will help parents and children with their emotional and mental health during the pandemic or the new normal. You know, this new normal is a cluster of new rules that children have to deal with. It involves navigating new technology in a lot of circumstances, and it also involves having new social lives. Kids, if they're on a hybrid schedule or in school only part of the time, It's no longer a 5-day-a-week school day. And some of the new rules are a lot of hand washing, wearing masks during the school day. All of that stuff requires adjustments for parents as well as the children. In the technology, I think that many children are experts, but the parents have to learn a lot more about technology in this short period of time because they have to support their children in the home. Children, with the help of parents, have to begin to negotiate these changes and the other changes that they're being called to deal with in schools. You know, schools traditionally have been a safe haven for parents and kids. Parents know when they let their child go to school that they're in a safe environment and they can focus on the things that they're doing during the course of their normal workday. School has been a place where food insecurity issues have been addressed by the provision of a couple of solid meals during the course of the school day for a lot of children. They have been a conflict-free environment for children. If you come from a household where there's a good bit of commotion or a family where there are struggles around a lot of issues, when you're in school, it's a relatively conflict-free and safe environment that's been built around the routines of the school day. In addition to those things, there's also time for constructive, structured physical activity for children so they can run under the supervision of adults. They can get along with other children. They can have structured play that's organized by the adults in the school. Schools also offer a wide scope of ancillary services, speech and hearing services. Nursing is available in many schools. Access to healthcare, learning, and psychological services are also available. During this pandemic, parents have to monitor themselves and their children for a few things. One is they have to monitor themselves and the kids for some indication that they may be becoming depressed. Another is that they may have to monitor their children and themselves as well for some indication that they're becoming anxious or over anxious about some things. When parents notice that a child who has generally been happy is now sad a lot of the time, that they're down, that they have become negativistic and taken a hopeless position on many things, they might want to consider that that child is becoming depressed and make sure that they talk with them about their feelings and give them opportunities to open up about their feelings. Agitation and aggression can be another indication that something is amiss with children and that's connected to the pandemic. Anxiety for kids and adults frequently manifests as withdrawal and isolation. They don't want to hang out with or see their former friends. GI symptoms, gastrointestinal symptoms, upset stomachs, headaches, disruptions in their sleep routine, major changes in their eating habits are things that might give parent an indication that something emotional is going on with their child. Or if parents find themselves experiencing those kind of things, they might want to consider that something is going on with themselves. Parents have to carefully monitor their own actions throughout this pandemic as well. Our kids depend on us for consistency and support. Parents have to be a model of resiliency. They have to give kids the message that we'll manage this challenge together. We'll wear our masks. We'll wash our hands. We'll do the things that we need to do to stay safe in every environment we have to deal with. Parents need to be careful to make sure that they validate their children's feelings when they try to talk to them about things that are connected with emotion for them. Listen to their concerns. Ask about their worries on a daily and weekly basis. And don't underestimate the importance of the things that they might be saying. We can encourage self-care in our children, okay? Regular exercise, good sleeping and eating habits, and make sure we give them opportunities to participate in the activities that they have found to be a source of gratification, whether it's family nights with board games, playing with them on the game console, or maybe you want to consider even doing a TikTok video with your kids. together. Don't underestimate some of the positives that can come from this pandemic. It's an opportunity for kids to experience their own resiliency if you help them. Surviving through this experience is almost going to be like a badge of honor. The opportunity to learn something that doesn't normally, the kids don't have a normal chance to learn is present today because we've never had to deal with anything like this. And, you know, look, there are professionals around like myself and staffs in school who can help parents either by listening to them, serving as a sounding board, helping to guide them so that they can manage their children throughout this new normal period. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And definitely, you know, you're right. We do have to be creative, especially now. And it has allowed a lot of families to spend time together, even as if it's a birthday party, a Sunday dinner. We've got to be creative. And I've seen that this summer. We were creative as a family. I'm going to go back now to Hakeem and Fatima, and hopefully we have the microphone together so we can hear your presentation. So let's start.
Yeah, can you hear us?
Yes.
Thank you. See, I'm in the computer field and I just had a computer issue. So, so just to go back, I'm just going to recap what I was saying. You know, growing up, I had two excellent parents. You know, they did everything that they could for me. And, you know, I even remember when I was an engineer, a training engineer in college. I went to Polytechnic University. And when I was getting my butt kicked with calculus, I had a father who literally would come home from work and try to help me with calculus. Now, he had never done calculus before, but he did what he could just to give me, his son, the support to say, I got your back. And now as parents, you know, with our boys going through the traditional school, we felt ourselves in that same position whereby coming home from work, you know, we had to still do what we could to enrich, you know, do what we could to make sure that our boys were getting exactly what they were getting and how they were supposed to get it. So fast forward to the pandemic, with the boys being home with us throughout this previous school year, we noticed two things. One of which was that, you know, having children that have asthma and go through the normal colds and viruses that all parents go through, our children were remarkably healthy being home throughout this period. It was to a point in which my wife and I sometimes forgot that they had asthma. Mm-hmm. So that was one thing. And the next thing was that by the boys being home with us, you know, when daddy gets off his conference call and then goes on the Zoom call to help them with their math or their schoolwork, I found that by them being close to me, we were able to do what we could to tailor their education for them. And a statistic that I wanted to mention before I pass it over to my wife is that in 2019, of an estimated 2.5 million students who were homeschooled, 32% of those students were of color. And a May 2017 survey that was done by the Leadership Conference Education Fund, which is a civil rights group, they polled 600 Black parents and family members across the country about their beliefs on public schooling. And what they found was that although the parents, majority of which felt that the schools were doing the best that they could, considering the resources that they had or didn't have, 3 out of 4 of those respondents believed that the education that Black students were getting was still inferior and not up to par with that of white students. So when you look at these statistics and when you look at what we as parents and guardians have the ability to do with our children, you know, an analogy that I would say is if you're going to buy a piece of clothing from a store, you don't just go and buy whatever suit that you see on the rack or whatever you want to buy. You get size, you get fitted, you get tailor-made. And what we have the ability to do for those who have the ability to do it, I mean, my wife, she's out there in the field, I'm home. We have the ability, we've been blessed with the ability to tailor make a curriculum and an education that fits our kids, our children. And that's truly a blessing.
Right, so basically the ability to fill in gaps where they are lacking and to even push them forward until they can excel, and to teach them to their learning style. my youngest one that was in school, sitting at a desk for several hours wasn't his learning style. He's one like to roam, go around. So this gives him the opportunity to learn in his learning style. Also incorporating more cultural relevant material into the curriculum. And like the Yoruba proverb says, it takes a village to raise a child. So we're incorporating our village in their educational plan. So we'll have like chess lessons from a friend's son, or their grandmother writing. So it's not all on the two of us. We're incorporating our village into their curriculum. And also, to homeschool, you have to know the laws of your state. So in New York City, we have to submit a letter of intent for homeschooling, and also to submit the individual home instruction plan. So just know the laws for your state. And for us, we found it that we don't have to be structured from 8 to 4 just doing work. We could take breaks. We could use Saturdays. We could do nights. We could do afternoons. So it's going to be flexible. So that's basically our plan going into the school year.
Right. And just ended, as any company, you have a leader of that company. We consider ourselves CEOs now, or the chief executive officers of our kids' education.
I love it. I love it. I know we're going to have a lot of questions for you because you two are just amazing. Great energy, great information. I want to keep the dialogue flowing, and I want to, be mindful of time. So I'm going to pass this now to Sonia. And Sonia's going to talk to us. As she mentioned in the intro, she's an occupational therapist. But I remember saying to her that several parents had reached out to me stating that during the pandemic from March, their child had not received services. So it's important that we know how to navigate to make sure that's please mute. Sonia, I'm going to bring you in right now. If you can talk about what you do and how parents can navigate, especially during the pandemic, going back to school, hybrid, whatever the situation is, to get the services their children need and require.
Okay. Again, my name is Sonia Agnew. I'm an occupational therapist, and I'm one of what we call related services in the school. So what related services is that a child is and they are getting special accommodations to assist them in being as independent and as successful as possible in the classroom. So what happens now, even during the pandemic, you have an IEP, and because of the IEP, which is mandated by law, it's mandated by law that the children are supposed to get these services, you as a parent have the right to request, demand, whichever way you want to, from your school that your child get the services. If they cannot find an OT, PT, speech, whatever is on the IEP for your child, they have to give what's called an RSA. And you have the right now to go out and find your own therapist, and the school has to pay. So if you're in DOE, it would be New York City that pays. If you're in Long Island, it would be Long Island that pays. What's happened since the pandemic is now we have gone to teletherapy. And I don't think we're ever going to go back to not having teletherapy. Teletherapy is here to stay. This school year coming up, they have encouraged us and recommended for related services to do teletherapy. And if we want to, and if the parents are in agreement with it to do in person, we actually have to get permission. So they really want teletherapy. They are trying to keep as many people out of the schools as possible. And related services is a big service that has to be in the school. We push classes, we pull kids out one-to-one. So they're, of course we have guidelines too, like the teachers if we're going in, but they're really recommending to do it remote. There's different ways, just like Christine said, that we do remote. We go along with whatever the school is saying. If it's Zoom, it's Zoom. If it's Microsoft Teams, I have all the softwares on there. Whatever the school tells me, they give us access. And we have to reach out to the parents and let them know that we are the therapists. So it's very interactive with the parents. As a matter of fact, I love that part because I got to know all my parents. I went the whole school year And not until March, I got to know my parents of these kids. And some of the parents sat in on the sessions and they were amazed, some of them of what their kids were lacking and some of them in the improvement that they saw their children make. And the connection became so much greater between therapist and parent because now we were working on the same page. And I had like high school kids that wouldn't sign on because they're high school kids. You know how that is. They cut in class per se. And when you would reach out to that parent, they would really get to those kids. And all of a sudden you saw such a difference in the way you were able to work. So what I would say, if you feel like you're not getting the services, even if it's remote, even during the pandemic, they're still mandated. And even with your IEP meetings, it's still mandated. You have a right by law to get your services.
Thank you, Sonia, and I'm sure you'll have some questions. I'm going to now spotlight Cherise. Cherise, talk to us about middle school confidence, right? I know you're a middle school teacher, but talk to us about what we can instill in our middle school. All children, of course, but we know that middle school, those years get a little tricky for our students and for parents.
Yes, thank you, Karen. And I'm a teacher, but yet I'm always in the seat as a learner. I like so many of the things that my colleagues have already expressed. And one of the things that I think many of us are concerned about, that we're in a new time, an unprecedented time. And for middle schoolers who almost feel like they're grown, you know, they still need their parents. They need their parents' guidance and their support. Even at my age, although I'm of a certain age, I appreciate my parents' support. When we're talking about working with children, whether they're in a remote setting or a blended learning setting, whatever the case may be, in middle school, our children need our support, meaning that, first, let's start off with expectations. What are your children's expectations? Let's ask them. What are they expecting out of this year? What are they expecting from themselves? It's important that we even connect with our children to know what their personal, emotional, financial, spiritual goals are, so that we could better support our children. We're in a time now where we have found the benefits, the pros and the cons of this pandemic. Whichever side we fall on, whichever side we're leaning towards right now, we all have to make a decision. Our children's voice does matter at this point in time. And that's something that I have learned more and more as an educator over 15 years, 18 years now, that we do have to listen to the children, but we also have to remember that we have to listen to our inner voice. And as a parent, though you may not be a per se certified teacher, you are the professional in your child's life. So when I look back into my own life, my parents, as Dr. Fatima and Brother Hakeem brought up about the support of the parent in the household. Are all of our parents really equipped to support our children? And I'm not just talking about academically. I'm talking about mentally, emotionally. There's a lot of layers and components in parenting our children in this world and in this virtual world. I myself do rely on my students for their support. And when we talk about support, we have to understand that it's a 3-ring band. It's the students, it's the parents, and it's the teacher. I always want my students to know my expectations and my policy and procedure. I am your parent's friend. I'm not your friend. I love you. I care for you. I care about you. But the team, the partnership, I want you to understand my role. I want you to know your role and your parents' role. And also, we need to tap into our children's interests. And I believe that Jonathan also touched on that, and also Lewis spoke on it, and our upcoming speaker will deal with that as well. It deals with the children's self-esteem. Being an educator and specializing in special education, knowing that children are struggling with certain parts of them, their identity. We all deal with that, right? Yeah, we all do. But living in the world of special education, I've had to constantly reinforce to parents who have children in special education. One, I want you to change your way of thinking, because there's a negative stigma that is attached to our children. And we do know that statistically it's Black and brown children, but there are other children that are part of this population. But understand that it's a part of giftedness. Children who are in special education, they have a level of giftedness that is up to me, it's up to us to tap into. And as our panelists also have spoken about the village, oh my gosh, the village is so powerful. I myself am so honored to be a part of a village. My sister let me in to her village with she and her husband raising their children who are so successful as young adults. When Jonathan spoke about earlier about the lack of proficiency of some of our young Black males, oh my gosh, that just sparked my mind to understand that we have a lot of work to do. And even my nephew has created a platform, Black Boys Lit. You all have to check that out because he's become so passionate. Although I wasn't his school teacher, but being a teacher in his life, he has developed a yearning for a love for education and wanting to see our Black boys and our children at large to just really thrive in this time, but also just in their lives, coming into themselves. So I would say as a special education teacher, self-esteem is very important. Don't forget about that 3-ring band. The IEP is very important. And when you go to the teachers and you go to the school, you won't necessarily have to demand much. When you work together as a team, it just unfolds itself so easily and your children will get on board. And for the other educators or the other parents, where sometimes you get a little annoyed. You don't feel like someone is really with you, but when you convey your message and you express to them how you feel, what your need is, even as a teacher, express your need to the parent. Don't demand them, speak to them. Let's have an open dialogue and communication so that the needs of the children can be serviced properly, not just in the classroom, but at home as well, so that our child can walk in their wholeness and confidence.
Love it. Thank you, Cherise. I love when you said about special, right? And I think everybody commented on that. Yes, special means special, magical, period, unique, right? Let's just put that in context. So thank you for that passionate presentation. So we're going to segue now to Marsha. Marsha is going to talk about esteem building and so forth and give us that message. And then what we want to do after that is start the conversation so that we can exchange dialogue. So Marsha, I'm going to send it to you. All right.
I grab it, Karen.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me here. Oh my goodness. I'm so happy to be in this space with all of the panelists. But Cherise, thank you so much because you just laid it out for what I want to jump into. I want to talk about everything you said, but what I really want to zero in on is, hi kids, I want to talk to you.
Yes.
You know why I'm zeroing in on you and why my sister here, Cherise, really emphasized you? Because you matter. You have a voice. Just like your mother and your father or your guardian or whoever is in your life to nurture you, they have voices, but so do you. We all have a position to play, right? Because as parent, you cannot at the same time be. All kids arrive at different stages in life, whether you're an adult or you are a child growing up, coming of age. COVID-19, the pandemic, who would have ever thought? I thought about it to myself as an adult, right? And I said, good grief, I'm having a rough time with this because if you haven't already been able to tell, I love talking and I love talking to people. So when I was put in a position now to have to sit down and settle into this new normal, it was hard for me, right? Because I've lived longer than you. But imagine how, imagine how you must feel. You just starting this ride. and you're being told to sit down, be quiet, and now you're out of the school and now you're into the virtual classroom. I'm telling you that it's okay to say, this, I don't like it, that this is challenging for me. For you to tell your parent or anybody that is in charge of your nurturing and your care to say, because I have feelings about this. Cherise said that there should be a partnership, a collective effort, right, kids? Don't, when you play in the playground and you go to lunch, you want to be collectively not eating by yourself. You want to eat with the people, you want to eat with the kids because you're in it together. So we're all in this life together. So when we get pulled apart and separated and then told to stay away from one another, that is hard. But what I want to tell you today is that in the hardships of life, you can grow. So how about you know first that you matter and you have a voice? It is important for me to repeat that, Black children, children of the diaspora, children that have been told that they are, maybe not directly in your little life, right? Your life as it is thus far, because your life is not little, your life is very grand. When I say little, I mean your length of years up to this point. But what I am telling you, whatever you see out there that is speaking against the light inside of you and who you were born to be here, reject it. Don't believe it. It isn't real. Because you have a power that is so deep, so beautiful. You have a voice inside. The voice that tells you, maybe I shouldn't go outside without my jacket on, or maybe I should listen to my mother because she said, look both ways before I cross the street. That voice is also telling you that you matter. You matter, and when you hurt, it's okay to say you hurt. When I was growing up, adults would tell me, sticks and stones may break your bones, but words will never hurt you. When I was going to school, I was hurt by other kids' words. Because we don't communicate how we feel, it closes off understanding, kids. If you don't tell your mother that you don't like chicken, she's gonna be cooking chicken every day and giving it to you if you don't say, wait a minute, Mom, can we talk? I don't like. And you take that power to use your voice in a respectful way and know that there are others in the village that have just been on the road a little longer, but that doesn't make them better. I'm a mother of 2, and my 2 daughters, 10 and 13, they teach me something new every day. Why? Because I listen to them. I have a younger daughter that says she wants to be a vegetarian at 7. Who does that at 7? Make a decision that affects your life. But I said, all right, why? She said, because I care about what I put into my body. I said, okay, that sounds good to me. As long as you don't mind me eating chicken and meat up in here, you don't have to eat it because you have a path and I'm here to nurture it, right? If it's not gonna harm you, I'm gonna let you fly free. Kids, fly free. Don't worry about what you see in the world that anybody is telling you that is against your light. You know what I tell my kids every day? I say, nobody's better than you. Shine your light. Don't make it dim and don't be less smart and don't act like you don't know what you know in the class. And that I did it too though. But I'm telling you, it didn't serve me. No, because nobody told me, really told me, really understood to tell me that like superheroes that I see on TV, they're in me. If I love myself, that's my own superpower and it is yours. And I give it to you to use it.
Thank you, Marsha. Thank you so much. Thank you to every panelist. We felt your energy, your emotion. I want to now open up because I see it's 8 o'clock and I'm very mindful of time. I want to start our dialogue. I want to get questions in. So please flood the chat. I'm going to start with a question here. I did get a question from Natalie. I hope I'm saying that correctly. about the BIPOC professionals, I am going to, in our resources, you will have a list of mental health practitioners and therapists that are us. So you will have that in the resources that will be sent out. You'll get a survey from us and also resources. And Louis, if you have resources, we welcome that. But let me start with a question that came into the chat. It says, as a parent of a college freshman, this is Michelle, HBCU, woohoo, who has a remote learner, what suggestions can you offer to help her sustain that competitive edge in the four walls of her bedroom? Great question, Michelle. I am going to turn that to any person in the panelists. Please be mindful, be succinct with your answer so we can get as many questions in as possible. Who wants to take this first? Okay, HBCU parent, remote learner, who wants to take that question?
I'll just start.
Who said that?
Go ahead, Jonathan.
Yeah, oh, yes, I can take that.
Okay.
First of all, congratulations for your daughter being in the HBCU. That's excellent. But, you know, taking advantage of this pandemic is a special opportunity. Is a special opportunity to just learn new things organically, right? So therefore, let's say if you would like to learn a new language, if you would like to learn an instrument, even if you would like to take up tennis lessons, this is an opportunity for you to harness that acumen in your life and do that. So by virtual or just by inviting others as well.
Sharice, you want to jump in?
Yes, what I wanted to say is pace yourself. I'm still working on that as well. Pacing yourself, you do have a schedule that you have to attend to, but also write things down, create a schedule and agenda for yourself so that you can prioritize what you need to do, and also having the time to map out your life. Jonathan spoke about it. Many people felt like this was the best time to get so much done. I had so many great ideas and things I wanted to get done. Everything didn't happen that way, but just still map it out. Put it out there for yourself, and also just be able to take the time to meditate and to reflect. And think about some of those good things about yourself so that you can continue to grow through it all. Because when you think about all the work that you have to do, the expectations, there are times when we really need to just pause and take a break so that we can recharge and rejuvenate, and make sure that you find the right people for your circle to pour into you. So when you feel like it's getting too much for you, that you have a safe space that you can kind of collapse and then get it back together again.
I think that's a great point. I'd like to add, it's also a great time if you're remote for your civic activity, right? So we know about the November 3rd election. We know about polling. We know we need poll workers. I think this is a great time to begin to volunteer your skill set and your services, especially going to an HBCU, especially navigating the landscape, because I know that you learn more from doing and giving, but observing. And I think, you know, as everyone has said, it's unprecedented waters, but what you can give to others and knowing that you are instrumental in the election, in having a hand, I think that also adds to the mental wellness. I think that adds to the civic portion of our brain, but also that we are moving the diaspora along. And I think it's so important in the history of HBCUs to move the conversation and be active.
I think also talking with them about, you know, what they anticipated their college freshman experience would be prior to this pandemic, and talking with them about the actuality of it this year, and then talking with, you know, helping them develop some new goals. And I think, you know, the whole idea of volunteering, being close to home, being able to do some things that you wouldn't be able to do if you were out of town, but talking with them about whether or not they feel like they're missing out on anything, and what they feel like they're gaining by being home is pretty important, I think.
I think that's a great point. Does anyone want to unmute themselves and actually ask a question and not put it into the chat? Feel free to do that also.
Hi, Karen.
Hi.
Yeah, I just wanted to add a quick point to the previous question. You know, one of the things that I noticed going through college, that for many students before the pandemic, can be a distraction is the college life itself. And one of the things that by being home in the four walls, I think that was the question was saying in the bedroom, you know, the world can be what you make it to be. And you can also use this as an opportunity to channel a new inner focus. And remember that you're going to school to learn a craft, to become something. And as long as we instill in our children that no matter how old they are, to keep your eye on the prize, and this is what you're destined to become, no situation is going to take you away from that but you. And, you know, I look at Malcolm X, someone who I follow very much through my history. And Brother Malcolm did so much of his education while he was confined in a jail cell. This is where he went to a new level. So I just wanted to add that to the question, just to remind our children that this is what you're trying to do. Don't let anything take you away, whether it's virtual or non-virtual. Don't let anything take you away from what you want to do in your life.
Absolutely. I want to go to a question from Brandy. Brandy says, I am the parent of a third grader who hates her daily Zoom sessions. We have back to school night next week. What are some suggestions I can give to the teacher or to my daughter to encourage more participation? Also, two-part question, are there any Afrocentric educational resources that you can all share? So great question, Brandy. Thank you for that. So who wants to talk about, you know, Brandy and her daughter, you know, who hates Zoom session? What can you do? What are your suggestions for them to do together to encourage participation? And also, I think, great, Afrocentric resources. So two-part question, but who wants to take the first part or the second part? Or both parts? But whatever, succinctly.
I want to,
I'm going to go to Christine, I'm going to go to Marsha, and I'm going to go to Denise. Because Denise, I'm going to go with you because I know you do your Jack and Jill informational, educational stuff. So I think that's a great resource. So let's go with Christine first.
Yes. So a lot of kids do not enjoy the Zoom because it's a different platform, you know, and it's different. So you first want to ask why. Why is it that she doesn't like it? Some of them are shy, very shy about being on camera. Also, it's so unknown. Because all of a sudden their background is showing to their other kids in the Zoom and they're shy about their homes. All this stuff I noticed in the spring when I was on Zoom, right? So you want to talk to her, find out exactly why. Also, another thing I think you can do is you can sit in on some of these sessions, see what's going on in the sessions, and then you might pick up a few ideas, a few little snippets of information on your own that shows you why she's not liking it, encouraging her. And then privately, you would talk to the teacher, because I'm sure she's not the only child who's not participating on the Zoom chat. You'll find that some kids, some of my students, they soared doing on the Zoom chat, but others just weren't even participating. They would mute themselves or hide behind they would close off the video so I couldn't see them. And so you really want to dig into that and find out what it is. And then ask the teacher for suggestions. Since you are at a loss, ask the teacher what she thinks you can do. Maybe the teacher wants to start out with one-to-one session with just your daughter. I've had to do that. Just one-to-one session with the kids who were shy and didn't want to show up because it is a different medium. So I would start there first.
I think great suggestions. Marsha, did you want to add anything or we got them?
I think she kind of got them because
Denise, did you want to add? Oh, Marsha, I'm sorry. Were you done?
No, I mean, I was going to just say that I identified with this question because I have
Marsha keeps freezing. Okay.
Yeah,
Denise,
that was being challenged in the same way. Yeah.
Sorry, Marsha, your camera keeps freezing on us.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Denise, did you want to add?
Yes. First of all, I would say, of course, Meet the Teacher Night is not the time to talk individually about that, but to schedule an appointment with the teacher to share your concerns. And one of the things, as I said, when you know better, we do better. Schools across the nation are doing a lot of preparation for virtual coaching. I'm actually doing it. And I've seen some excellent dynamite Zoom lessons where kids are engaged. And so that's a conversation perhaps with the teacher, but also later with the principal to see what type of professional development are they offering on the blended model. because some kids are doing it remotely. Some schools have classrooms where the teacher's teaching in the class. Some teachers are physically going in to school and teach with no students. So it all speaks to training and professional development for that professional. So that's the way I would approach that situation.
Thank
Karen,
you.
I just wanted to add something to that also.
Hold on, because we have a lot of questions in the chat and I want to really get, so I see the one thing we didn't answer on that question was the Afrocentric component. So can we dovetail that? Is that what you're going to go, Cherise?
Well, I was waiting for a friend to respond to me because there is a resource available, but I just want to make sure that it's up and running. So
Okay.
there's 2 that I have. So I'll present that later. But I just wanted to say, let's be mindful of the amount of time that children spend. And it depends on the content area as well. It may not really be geared to your child's interest. Teachers, we are charged that we have to bring it all the time, but be mindful of the amount of rest that your child receives or the types of foods or the beverage that they're drinking. And sometimes you just, a private conversation, let the teacher know or ask the teacher, can your child have maybe like a 2-minute break to get back to it? Depending on your child's learning style, we have to consider all of those components.
Thank you. Any Afrocentric resources, please put it in the chat. Somebody has one, if you could say.
Yeah, I was just saying in the resource package they will receive, they'll have some lists.
Perfect. I want to get to these questions. Elston Bell, thank you so much. He says, love the conversation. Just wanted to share from, I'm not sure if it's a male, so I'm sorry if I said, but love the conversation. Okay, love the conversation. As a recent college graduate, I would say try to get involved with efforts made by the university and still fund community. Also, the importance of creating a physical space where you can curate a space that signals time to work, time to learn, and time to relax. And one of the word I love, rest. We are such a society that is about boom, 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 rest, right? That is when we're healing. That's when we're becoming well and recalibrating. So thank you for that. Let me get to another one. As an adult, okay, so I don't know if it's a comment. It's Natasha. I don't like being on Zoom calls because there was no mention or room for healing from what we're going through. It can be business as usual. Children need space to speak about what is actually happening. And that is so true. Lewis, if you can talk about that, because I'm sure parents are concerned about, where they're on, we talk about kids limiting device time. However, navigating this pandemic, it's really challenging to limit device when you're on the device all day long. And then when you get a break, you want to be on another device. What are some suggestions? What are some suggestions you can give to us about how can we limit it, but to keep our mental health intact?
Well, I think that, one of the things you can do to limit it is make sure that you're aware of the things that your children like to do. Make sure you do things that promote family interaction. Board games have been around forever. Young kids today don't use them a whole lot, but you can go to stores, you can buy them. One of the ways to do it, because it's hard to get kids away from the screens a lot of the time, is to suggest, let's play this game for a half hour. Let's play for 40 minutes. And then at the end of the 40 minutes, we're going to go on to anything. You can start a ongoing game of Monopoly, and you can play for a half hour. You can, at the end, count up everybody's money and what properties they own. You can record that, and the next time you can kind of dish everything out, and you can continue the game from that.
Thank you, Louis. Great suggestion. Love it. I'm just going to keep it moving, okay?
Yep.
Thanks so much. Okay, so another question is, what is a framework to create a community support infrastructure for children? So if one person could take that question, because there's 6 more to go, and I really want to have some breathing. So what is a framework to create a community support for infrastructure for our children? One person, please take that question. One of our educators.
All right. What I've seen is a lot of parents are with the blended model, and you have to work. So they're doing some shared, I'll take your children Tuesday and Thursday because I have to work Monday and Wednesday. So I've seen a lot of that in some of the neighborhoods that I've been working with here in New Jersey and also in the city. So they're sharing resources and also helping each other as well.
One of the models that some schools are using is a pod model or a cohort model, where they're keeping together groups of kids over the course of the whole day while they're in the school building to limit exposure. Parents can use that same model. If you know other parents who share the same classroom with your kids, you might want to link up with them, talk about the things that the kids like to do, the things that you can do as parents to kind of promote learning and their emotional development as a group.
Love it, love it, love it. Another question is, what can, as a community, what can we do to make certain that our children are understanding the importance of what's happening in history in real time, but also how they matter in this pandemic and in this culture? And that is my question. So I give it to the educators. What can we do to let them know? Because we're talking about, you know, esteem and so forth and thriving, but yes, we tell them, yes, we bond, but how can they make a difference in their world amongst themselves, especially if they're in a school where they are the minority, but their voice matters with what's happening in their culture and with their people?
I think it first starts with self-awareness. And what we're doing tonight is really important for us to come together. And then when it's like we'll turnkey, we use that terminology at work, turnkey in the information. Our children they are learning more about their history, but they're seeing it unfold in real time. So now they are becoming more aware of who they are and how the world perceives them. So now your voice, like you spoke on the civics level, for children who are, or young people who are able to vote and get more involved in the community, even for our children at whatever age, from pre-K up to 8th grade. They can volunteer, they can participate, they can show their voice that they care about their community, that they are active, that they can be engaged in their church, in their mosque, in their temple, right in their community where there is a need, that their voice does matter just by showing up, not just to events, but in their everyday interactions. That's just one component that I consider.
Thank you, thank you. Okay, so what I want to do, it's 8:17, and I want to get everyone's closing remarks. And so we're going to just go around, no particular order. I'm just going to start with one person and then we just end it, and then not end it, but just have, if any last minute tips you can offer. And the best way we're not going to give our contact information because that is all in the resource package that's going to go out, or the information sheet, so they can reach out to you directly. So know that, but let's just start the energy with Marsha. Marsha, go ahead.
You picked me. Okay, kids, I just want to wrap it up by saying that I just want you to always remember to communicate, always remember your voice matters, and communicate to the ones around you that love you, and use your voice.
Thank you, Marsha.
Yeah.
Lewis.
Yeah, hey, thanks for having me. It's been a real treat to be here. First of all, I think that I would just like to encourage all of us who are here, parents and presenters, maintain the dialogue. Talk with your children. Ask them about what their daily life is, and you'll manage during this pandemic and everything else.
Amen to that. Sonia.
Hi, I just want to say, you know, we have to work together as a team. The team is the teachers, the parents, and if your children have related services, the person in the related services. If we work together as a team, we will see our children soar.
Love that. Brother Hakeem and Fatima.
So number one, tap into your village. Everything does not have to be on you. With this pandemic, the children are here all the time. So tap into your village. Maybe they could spend a night at your mom's house, or a close friend that you know that they'll be safe. But tap into your village and make connections with your family. Spend family time together.
Right, and I'm just going to add on to what my wife said. You know, as parents and guardians, you know, just also be patient with yourselves, because I myself, my wife, you know, we felt that we were tested at certain points where, you know, you look and you don't know what to do. but then we just reflect and remember that, you know, we will not be tested beyond our capacity to bear. And if we remember that and hold dear to that, that whatever we are all going through, you know, there is a way out, there is light at the end of the tunnel, and keep that focus. You know, we can do anything. You know, our ancestors have done it, our history shows it, and we can do it, and do it for our children.
Thank you for that. And thank you. I'm going to go now to Dr. Denise Lowe.
Yes, what I'd like to say with closing remarks, this has been wonderful, and what an esteemed group of panelists. But I wanted to stress again, we will never ever have this opportunity again to reshape, rethink, and reimagine schooling when it's safe to fully open and get back to what will be, not say the new normal, but hopefully a different type of schooling for all students. And it'll take the village and the community to do that.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Cherise?
Yes, this has been a great experience for us all to broaden our connections and our network, which really means a lot for our community. We've learned so much from one another, and so our children will continue to learn from us as well. They are growing, they are changing, and during this time of the pandemic, as Dr. Lowe even made mention, we're not going back. Some things will not go back to the way it was. So we're just going to keep all of our emotions in check. I believe in prayer. We are also going to move into meditation. It is important that our children tap into their spirituality, because when all else fails, there's so much going on around us. They also need to be able to tap into that as well. So we are a force of nature together. Great people, we come from greatness. So I just wish everyone the best school year possible, and hopefully we'll come together again to connect, to support one another.
Thank you. Jonathan, you're up.
Thank you, Karen. Thank you, everyone, for this really productive time. It was a fun time. I learned a lot. If I have one thing to say, I wanted to encourage parents to look for teachable moments, learning opportunities to make learning fun, engaging, and sustainable. So have those teachable moments when you're just doing regular routines throughout the day and having those conversations, and that will be really genuine, and it will be systemic to their learning. So thank you.
Thank you. Christine.
Oh, thank you, Karen, for this opportunity to share in this entire conversation. It's been amazing. What I want to say is that we have to remember that it's a collaboration, parent, teachers, and students, and parents should not be intimidated by moving into the school. Let the school answer your questions. Let the school give you the answers. There are resources there that you might not have, but there are resources at school. Use the school.
Thank you. Did I miss anyone? Did I get everyone, all the panelists? I think I did. Okay. I just want to thank everyone for being a part of this, being a part of this circle, being a part of this conversation, and knowing that together we are strong. We don't have all the answers, but together we do have all the answers, right? And this is a community. We are a diaspora. So if you have a tool, if you have a resource, share it in the chat. Email it to me, kt@tailormademediapr.com. I will share it with everyone. I never believe in taking information with me. I feel like, why do we have information if we're not going to share it? So please feel free to share. Also, I want to thank my panelists. Oh my goodness, all the information that you shared, but most importantly, the passion, right? Can we get an amen for the passion? The passion, give it up to them. So passionate. We know that you care about us. We know that you care about our children. And you're right, it's small steps, it's big steps, but we're together as a collective team. It's 8:24, so we kind of ran out of time. I will just do some breathing. I apologize for that, but I wanted to have the conversation more than anything else. And I think this is a first step To us, I think Cherie said it right. This is the beginning. So continue to have that conversation with your village, with your tribe, with your children. Engage them, love them, listen to them. You know, we're not here to be their friends, but we're here to be their advocate. And I think that's the most important thing, is that friendship will come with us, with them later on. But right now, we're here to advocate. And even if it's not your child, I remember when I was a kid, somebody would take me and talk to me. You know, in Jamaica, they said somebody would drape you up if you were out of line. So I think we may have to go back to draping up our kids and letting other people's kids and say, listen, this is what we have to do, because we are under attack, we are under siege, but with information and with this community, we can navigate the course. So if somebody wasn't on tonight, please give them the information, give them the links, right? Doesn't matter if they paid or not. We want to share, because that's the kind of people that we are. We are sharing people as Black people, as Africans. So let's continue to share. Thank you so much again. You will get a survey. Please fill this out. The only way we get better is with your feedback. People are putting things in the chat, resources. Please, please, please feel free to put it into everyone, so that everyone can have that information right away. Access is everything. So don't wait for me to share it. Feel free to share it. I'm that kind of person. Share, share, share. So thanks to my panelists. Thanks to you for rocking out with us today, spending an hour and a half with us on a Friday when you could have been someplace else. If you can just one more time, just shake everything off, just loosen up your hands and shake, 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 get all those joints going. And a smile is a muscle, so smile. And I'm gonna ask you to inhale through your nose. And when I count to 3, an audible exhale through your mouth. So inhale through your nose and hold it. 1, 2, 3, audible, ah. One more time, inhale through your nose. Allow your stomach and chest to rise. Now exhale through your mouth with the audible, ah. Inhale your arms up, yes. Inhale up, ah. And just exhale forward. And just drop your hands and drop your chin to chest. Feel the stretch in the back of your neck now. How does it feel?
Good.
Take the left ear, bring it to the left shoulder and stretch out the right side. Come back to center. Your chin back to the ceiling, but this time open your mouth wide and close. Bring your chin back to your chest. Look straight ahead. Drop your right ear to your right shoulder. Lift up that left arm right here. Bring it right on the back of your head, right there. Release that. Opposite side. And release. And just close your eyes right here. Take your hands, palms to touch. Drop your chin. And inhale. And hold it. Set an intention for yourself, for your children, for your village. What is it that you want to accomplish for this 2020 to 2021 school year? What will that look like for you and your family and the village? Because it takes a village. The students are important, but you are also. So how will you show up for yourself first so that they can see that they have to show up for themselves? Inhale right here. Release your arms, your hands. And know that you have all the answers already. Know that. Give our kids the gift of writing through journaling, right? So when we feel something, we write it down. We create a vision board. Do the same thing for them. Have them exercise that option. Also, get them to move. I know for me, movement is everything. Movement is sanity. So even if it's a walk outside, even if it's just a walk in the back, wherever you need to walk, but move and write at the same time. And as you move and write, look to see how you have grown throughout the school year, and just check in with all of us and know what's going on. The light in me honors each and every one of you. I thank you for tonight and joining us. Namaste. Take the information back to your community and please remember to vote. Have a good night, everyone. Thank you so much. Peace. And make sure you get all the information, okay? Have a good night, all. Take care.